What's going on? What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. And all my fellow lab rats, hope that you're all faring well. How you doing? Understanding compliance and the secret number 2, my step-by-step method to increase your cash flow by leveraging various studies without ever having side effects, right? And this is very interesting, this one. I don't hear a lot of people talking about it, but it's very important. Very, very important. Okay, let me write it down here. It's about understanding compliance. And the compliance is very important. All right. The compliance meaning that you know how you have certain things that are policed in the world, right? There's certain things where it's measures in place to make sure that it goes smoothly, safely, and to make sure that nothing is going on, nothing is happening, right? And that's what we have with VCT. That's what VCT is. We're going to get into that. So, you might say, well, what is VCT? Well, I'm glad you asked. I'm glad you asked. Lesson 8, compliance. Okay, got VCT versus non-VCT. Very, very important. This is about compliance. Okay. Now, what do I mean by this? Well, here's what we mean. These studies are really, really a great big deal in terms of the pharmaceutical development, in terms of pharmaceutical companies and the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration. It's a big deal. And what I mean by big deal is it may seem like it's a lot of money they pay us. Tens, thousands of dollars. I mean, you're talking about 50 to 60 to hundreds of thousands of dollars you can make in a given year period. You can make less than that, 35, 25, 50 grand. You can make more than that, like myself. People that are tenacious, people that are go-getters, that are just hustlers. They just with it, right? They just want to get it, go after it, and just grab that bag. They want to go after it and just get that, just to grasp that cash flow so they can be able to take care of things they want to do in their life, right? Dreams and aspirations they want to fulfill, so to speak. Well, these types of people, these individuals, the more studies you do, the more chance to where you got to understand that they're looking and watching to see, okay, is this person doing it the right way? Now, what I mean by that is, are you jumping in and out of studies within like a week, 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, 2 days apart? And that's not a good thing. It's not a good thing because you're mixing drugs from other studies with drugs at another study, right? And that can cause a problem. So what they have in place to protect them, right? It's a company out of New York is headquartered at. And I'm going to put the information below as well in the resources. But this company, VCT, stands for Verified Clinical Trials, okay? It's a company that actually polices it all. They make sure to set the bar on making sure your health is okay, and it protects the sponsor, protects the facility, and it most of all protects us, the individuals, the participants, the volunteers. They're there to make sure that you're doing it the right way. So if there's a study that's VCT, it means that the facility is going to do a database check when you go there to do a study. When you first do the screening, when you show up at the actual screening, they're going to do, whether sometimes to do your fingerprint, or they take your fingerprint, put it on a machine, take it, and that'll let them know within seconds if you are in another study waiting to check in, or you've already checked in, or you just left, or you just dosed, or you screened. They'll know that information. They won't know what study, right? They won't know all of that. What they'll know is they'll just know that you're in the database, that hey, you're active somewhere else. So they're not going to let you in their study. They're going to say, I'm sorry, we can't use you. I'm sorry, because you're in something else. Now, in a way, it's kind of like you lied. Because they ask you on the phone, they're going to ask this question. I'm sure a lot of you are going to remember this, right? Have you been in a study within the last 30 days? Right? Have you taken another study drug in another facility within the last 30 days? Right? So you're going to hear that question a lot when you're on the phone screening. And even though they're saying it really, really fast, they're going to say it again when you get to the actual facility, when you get there. But the reason why they say it on the phone screening, they look to attempt, they strive to save you some time, wasting your time, so you don't even get an appointment to show up. Because on the phone, when they ask that question, if you do say yes, I have within the last 30 days, they're going to say, okay, what was it? Or what was your dose? Where was it? Stuff like that. Because they're going to look in their system to see if you can still do it. If you can, then you're good. But a lot of times, if the sponsor says no, it's got to be 30 days out from when you did something else, or 60 days, or 50 days, right? That means that they have guidelines they have to follow, and you cannot do another study if it's in that period. So you got to wait till after that 30-day, 40, 50, or 60-day, whatever they say, before you get into another one. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't go do study. You'll go to another facility if you want. But what I'm saying is, if it's VCT, they're going to know. No matter where you go, when you do that fingerprint, they're going to know when you get there, right? Non-VCT means they don't go off the same database. They still have a database. Now, I don't want you thinking that, oh, that means I can do whatever. No, no, no. Maurice didn't say that. They're still going to check, but their database is just not the same as the VCT verified trials that's in here. That's headquartered in New York. It's not the same database, okay? They're going to go off a different one. Now, as I put the resource, as I put the resource below, it's going to be having a young lady that used to handle it for me. I think her name was Kim. Yeah, Kim and Tina. They handle it for me a lot. I used to call them all the time. This is how I found out all this information. I call and ask questions. All the time I'd ask questions. I'm always asking questions. Okay? And when I ask the questions, I'm looking to find out, so I can know which facilities do the VCT, which don't. Which facilities are in the database, which are not. Okay? And there's a young lady that always helped me out, so I'll put her information and her extension below, and she can help you. Because like I said, they don't want anybody hurt. They don't want any lawsuits for sure, right? And they don't want us to be in a situation to where we're like, our health is at jeopardy. Okay? So this is very important when you're considering doing studies a lot. You got to know which ones are VCT, which ones are not. For instance, worldwide clinical trials. We're talking about in Texas. Worldwide clinical trials in San Antonio. ICON in San Antonio. They're VCT. Covant study, which is in Dallas. They're VCT. They have some studies they're not, but for the most part, they're VCT. Whereas PVD in here is not VCT. So let me just write this out for you. Okay? So, right here, we have whoop, I messed that up. Hope y'all can see that. WCT. They're VCT, right? Covance. They're VCT, right? Celerion. They're VCT. Hopefully you can see this here, okay? Because I'm putting it here. Celerion, they're VCT. What's another? Icon. They're VCT, right? I think, yeah, PRA. Actually, let me come here. PRA. They're VCT. Okay? WCCT. They're VCT, right? And there's some others as well, right? And we'll put in a resource. But PBD, they're not VCT. All right, and there's some others too. I'm gonna put in a resource. I don't want this to go too long. The bottom line of it is you have to understand which ones are, which ones are not, right? Okay, and as a rule of thumb, as some studies, this is a secret. Okay, usually a lot of times people like myself, I would go from you can go from a VCT to a non-VCT, back to a VCT, back to a non-VCT. You can do that. They go back and forth. You want to make sure it's that 30-day period, but you can do back and forth. You can screen. You don't have to wait to screen. This is a very good note here. Make sure you take note of this, okay? You do not have to wait 30 days to screen. Even though they say a study is 30 days, this is how I've been so compliant to do so many, right? Because I never ever waited a full 30 days to screen. Sometimes if a study, remember I told you, to get in the first screening, it might be 2 weeks away. Remember I said that, right? You screen now, I got the first screening, but the study might not start till like a week and a half, possibly 2 weeks away. That's good, okay? Because when you get done with a screening when you get done with a study here, right? You can look at the one over here, see a screening probably within a good 2-week period or whatnot, and then you got another 2-3 week period, and then bam, you're in another study, right? But that's how, if you do a consistent, like the last lesson we talked about, that consistency allows you every month you have cash flow coming in. Sometimes 3 to 4 weeks you have cash flow coming in all the time. And when you're doing this in a course of 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, 24 months, your money gets up dramatically. It grows, right? And that's how you increase cash flow very quickly, right? Especially if you're keeping your expenses low and you're increasing cash flow. That's how you increase very quickly with doing various studies. And remember, we already talked about the side effects. We're going to get into that on the next one, actually. We briefly talked about it, but the next lesson, the side effects. But this is about compliance, though. Staying compliant, you got to understand these two, VCT, non-VCT, and it'll work wonders for you, okay? A lot of time it took at least about, it at least took about a couple of years, well, I think like 3 years for me to even learn this, to really, really get it, and to really be in, in cooperation with it. I used to be against it. I used to be like, oh, I don't like that. But when I hate to say it, that's just coming from those that are unskilled and unlearned. They're just ignorant to the fact that they don't know how important it is and how it works for you, right? Because I'm going to be honest, come on now. I don't want to get my body messed up to where I can't function, right, later in life. Okay? At the recorded time of this recording, I'm 39 years old, right? And even at 39, I'm in great health, no problem, never had side effects, I said, but once, which is like, it was a mild flu-like symptom. I had a runny nose and a cough. It was over within like 3-4 days. And I actually think that wasn't from the medicine. It was because I caught it from someone who was sick. That was in the study. A lot of us got the same thing, right? But other than that, yeah, no side effect. And you're talking about someone that's done 85 plus studies, right? Made over 6 figures and doing an income, just cash flow, just with studies. And this process helped a lot because I knew which ones to go to. I knew which ones not to. Because here's the issue, friends. Ladies and gentlemen, if you mess up on this, you will be in a situation to where they will put you down as a red flag, to where you're targeted that you lie about the studies you go to. And then that's going to mess up your cash flow to increase it, because now you can't get into certain ones. If you mess up with it, they won't let you get into certain studies. They'll cross you out, right? And before you know it, zero studies you can go into. You're not making any money, right? I mean, you know the old saying, right? One rotten apple spoils the whole bunch, right? You could get yourself in a situation to mess up your cash flow. And this is one of the most boring, easiest, simplest ways to get cash flow that I've ever seen, right? So you don't want to do that, okay? So just understand the process. Like I said, hopefully rewind the video. You can check it out again. But other than that, you should be good to go. I mean, it's the easy process to understand. You just got to know, and the resource will be below, okay? All right, with that being said, take care, have a good one, and we'll see you on the next lesson.